In your opinion, what aspect has been given too little attention in the public debate on autonomous weapon systems to date?
In the debate on autonomous weapon systems today, one critical yet very under-discussed issue is the varying interpretations of meaningful human control. Yes, meaningful human control has been discussed severally, but there's still the confusion as to what we mean by meaningful. So when we use the terminology meaningful, what does it mean? Different parties to the conversation has assigned different meanings to this concept, leading to some inconsistencies in the discussions, and then have slowed down the attempts at policy making. For some people, meaningful human control means direct real-time control over the action that a weapon takes. But for others, it is ensuring that there's robust accountability and oversight mechanisms that govern the deployment of the systems. These diverse views complicate efforts to develop cohesive regulations and ethical standards. Without a unified understanding, it's challenging to proceed with regulations that effectively govern autonomous weapon systems. This disparity risks undermining international humanitarian law and ethical standards in warfare.
And what problem does your research address?
My research basically addresses the problem of diverse perspectives on the understanding and imaginations of autonomy and the implications these diverse understandings have for regulating autonomous weapon systems. Now, African cultural philosophies, for instance, emphasize on communal values, collective decision-making, and relational autonomy, which is in contrast with the individualistic approaches common in Western contexts. This divergence complicates forming a unified international stance on meaningful human control over autonomous weapon systems. Diverse interpretations of autonomy in the discussion on autonomous weapon systems raise other issues like ethical and humanitarian concerns, the urgent need for regulatory framework, the need for inclusive human-centric regulatory approaches that reflect African values especially, as opposed to these machine-centric and rule-based frameworks, the importance of communal understandings of autonomy. These are the emphasis on my research, and it also places more emphasis on the collective issue of collective consent at the state or community level rather than individual consent by commanders or operators. So I aim to bridge gaps in understanding autonomy generally and to promote more globally inclusive and ethically sound policies for autonomous weapon systems.
And why, in your opinion, do you think the Global South, or more particularly Africa, should be more involved in the ongoing conversations at the UNCCW?
Well, to begin with, in recent years, I must say Africa has become more involved at the CCW than in the earlier years of the discussion. This is a good thing. However, I still think Africa has more in the tank to offer. So first of all, African perspectives are important to this conversation. We currently have myriads of insecurity issues, internal insurrections, coups, terrorism, etc. Now, this is not very different from what we have in some other parts of the world, but our pace and how we tackle them differ. So, like the ICRC mentioned in 2015, Africa is more likely to face proliferation of these weapons. Secondly, African ethics builds more on humanity, and this is very important in the discussion. Our conception of autonomy is more communal than individualistic, and our idea of autonomy in weapon systems builds more on questions as to humanity, the loss of human lives, rather than the machines themselves. Finally, Africa boasts of over 50 states. This is a very loud voice, if I may say. So, collectively, a lot can be achieved with it in ensuring that the next generation of weapons are built in such a humane manner that respects not just laws, but also the ethics of armed conflict. Thank you.